in addition to individuals who facilitate and profit from the atrocities committed. We are providing Ukraine with $2 billion of additional assistance. We also are offering a $2.3 billion loan that will help Ukraine to rebuild its infrastructure, public services, and civil society.
Canada is helping to ensure, and through our discussions, I'm very pleased with the discussions and how they evolved, that the new NATO targets, at 5% of GDP, those new NATO targets, are tailored to address new threats and challenges, and that the capabilities required to meet this moment have been the driving factors for those targets. Importantly, the trajectory and the balance of the new NATO defense pledge will be reviewed in 2029 to ensure that the commitments align with the global security landscape. Throughout Canada's history, there have been turning points when the world's fortunes have been in the balance. And each time, Canada has chosen to step up, to lead on the path of democracy and freedom. We're once again at one of those moments. If we want the world of tomorrow to be shaped by our values, Canada must be ready. If we want a more secure world, we need a stronger Canada that works with our allies. And today is a very important step to build both. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We're now going to begin the question period. We'll begin with Steve Chase. First question.
Hi, Steve Chase for the Globe and Mail. I want to ask you to what extent you have social license, to what extent you think you have public support for what defense experts are saying would be the largest increase in defense spending since the Second World War. We're talking 7% increases a year to reach that $50 billion number. It's going to crowd out other investments. It's going to crowd out requests for healthcare transfer increases. So to what extent do you think you have public support for this?
Well, thanks for the question, Steve. Let me answer this in two ways. The first is to provide some context to the overall 5% number. 1.5% of that 5% is what's called a defense industrial pledge. And as I described very briefly in my remarks, it's much more detail in the public documents, and we can go into more detail. In fact, the Minister of National Defense can go into an exhaustive detail here. But that the industrial element of that, much of this we are already doing. This is about building the resilience. What do we do to build the resilience of the country? How much are we spending on our ports, on our transportation infrastructure? How much are we spending in order to develop our critical minerals? What do we do to make sure we have a resilient telecommunications system? These are things that actually we, as government, both federal and provincial governments, these are responsibilities we have today to Canadians and responsibilities that, by and large, we are fulfilling. Now we're going to do a more proper accounting of that and a more strategic set of investments in that. So yes, we'll find gaps. We'll be transparent about that. We'll make up those gaps. So the overall context of the net increase in defense spending is much less than the headline from 2 to 5. First point. Very important point. But we have to show that, and we have to be deliberate and strategic about it, and we will. The second thing is what happens in terms of the, I'll call it the 2 to the 3.5, that number. We absolutely need to establish the political and social, to use the social license, the public support for that. It needs to be, as I indicated in my remarks, including my remarks in that room. First and foremost, we are protecting Canadians. We are protecting Canadians against new threats. I wish we didn't have to, but we do have to, and it is our core responsibility as government. And those threats, we see them, the evolving threat environment, most clearly in the Arctic, but it's also through the Arctic into Canada. And so we're taking our greater responsibilities around that. We have to be clear about what we're doing in order to achieve it. Last point. We're focused on the outcome, the result, protecting Canadians. We're driven by that, not by, with all due respect, sitting in the NATO building, by NATO accountants. And that's part of what's relevant for this 2029 review. We're going to focus on those new threats. We're going to take more of it directly in our responsibility because they are a responsibility. They're threats on our soil, in our marine areas. And where possible, we're going to work with our partners. But we're also going to assess how well we've done, first and foremost to Canadians, whom we serve, but also to our partners. There'll be a review and there'll be an adjustment at that point.